The morning sun had barely risen over the small town of Willow Creek when 72-year-old farmer Walter Hayes climbed onto his aging tractor. For more than 40 years, Walter had worked the same stretch of land. His weathered hands knew every fence post, every tree, and every inch of soil better than anyone else. Life wasn't easy. After losing his wife 5 years earlier, Walter lived alone in a modest farmhouse. The farm barely earned enough money to cover expenses, but he loved the land too much to leave it. That morning seemed ordinary. Until 3 sheriff vehicles pulled into his driveway. Walter shut off the tractor and watched as Sheriff Daniel Brooks stepped out. Brooks wasn't exactly popular in town. He had built a reputation for being aggressive, arrogant, and obsessed with enforcing rules, even when common sense suggested otherwise. The sheriff walked toward Walter holding a thick folder. "Mr. Hayes?" he asked. Walter nodded. "You are hereby being fined $50,000 for unauthorized use of county property." Walter blinked. "County property?" Sheriff Brooks pointed toward a large field behind the farmhouse. "That section of land." Walter looked confused. "I've been farming that field for decades. According to county records, that land does not belong to you." The old farmer stared at him. "There has to be some mistake." Brooks shrugged. "You can challenge it in court. Until then, the fine stands." Walter's stomach sank. $50,000. It was more money than he had seen in years. Neighbors began gathering near the road. Everyone watched as the sheriff handed over the citation. Some people whispered. Others shook their heads. The old farmer stood silently while Sheriff Brooks returned to his vehicle. Before leaving, the sheriff smirked. "Maybe it's time to retire, Mr. Hayes." The vehicles disappeared in a cloud of dust. Walter remained standing in the driveway, holding the citation with trembling hands. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then he quietly walked back into the farmhouse. The news spread quickly. By lunchtime, nearly everyone in Willow Creek had heard about the massive fine. Most people felt sorry for Walter. He wasn't the type to cause trouble. He paid his taxes, helped neighbors during emergencies, and often donated vegetables from his farm to families struggling financially. The accusation didn't make sense. That evening, Walter climbed into his pickup truck and drove to the county records office. He spent hours searching old property maps. The deeper he looked, the stranger things became. According to newer digital records, the disputed field appeared separate from his farm. But older paper records told a different story. Much different. Walter requested copies of every document he could find. Then he returned home. For 3 straight days, he reviewed decades of paperwork. Property deeds, tax receipts, survey maps, old photographs. And eventually, he found something. A faded envelope hidden inside a metal filing cabinet. Inside was a document dated 47 years earlier. Walter's eyes widened. He immediately understood what had happened. And for the first time since receiving the fine, he smiled. A week later, the county scheduled a hearing. The room was packed. Residents filled every seat. Many came simply to watch what they expected would be a quick victory for the sheriff. Sheriff Brooks entered confidently. His attorneys sat beside him. Walter arrived alone carrying a worn leather folder. The hearing began. County officials presented their evidence first. Digital maps, modern property databases, recent surveys. Everything appeared to support the sheriff's claim. When they finished, Brooks leaned back confidently. The outcome seemed obvious. Then Walter stood. Slowly. Calmly. He opened his folder. "I'd like to submit additional evidence." The room grew quiet. The judge nodded. Walter handed several documents forward. Minutes passed as officials reviewed them. Then confusion appeared on their faces. One official adjusted his glasses. Another began flipping pages rapidly. The judge frowned. "What exactly is this, Mr. Hayes?" Walter took a deep breath. Those are the original ownership records. The room fell silent. Walter continued. 47 years ago, the county made a surveying error. Several people exchanged surprised looks. The field was never county property. The judge studied the documents. And how can you prove that? Walter smiled slightly. Because my grandfather donated that land. The room erupted with whispers. The sheriff sat upright. Suddenly interested. Walter continued. My grandfather donated a large section of land to build the county courthouse and surrounding public facilities. He pointed toward the documents. The donation agreement included specific boundary maps. The judge examined them carefully. The lines clearly showed that the disputed field remained part of the Hayes family farm. Not county property. The room became completely silent. But Walter wasn't finished. There is one more document. The judge nodded. Walter handed over the faded envelope he had discovered. The judge opened it. His eyes widened immediately. Then he read it again. Slowly. Carefully. As if he couldn't believe what he was seeing. Sheriff Brooks looked nervous. What is it? One county attorney asked. The judge looked up. This changes everything. The document wasn't merely a property record. It was the original donation contract. And hidden inside was a clause nobody had remembered. A clause that had been forgotten for nearly half a century. According to the agreement, if the county ever attempted to seize or improperly claim ownership of the remaining Hayes family land, ownership rights to several adjacent parcels would automatically revert to the Hayes estate. The room exploded with gasps. County attorneys looked horrified. They quickly reviewed the paperwork. Every signature was authentic. Every record was legitimate. The clause was legally binding. The sheriff's face turned pale. Because the county's actions had just triggered the very condition described in the contract. Instead of taking land from Walter, the county had accidentally given land back. A lot of land. Including several acres now occupied by county storage facilities. The financial consequences could reach millions of dollars. The judge leaned back in disbelief. This is extraordinary. Walter simply nodded. The sheriff sat frozen. His confidence had completely vanished. Over the next month, legal experts reviewed the documents. Every conclusion pointed to the same result. Walter was right. The county records were wrong. The fine was invalid. And the forgotten contract clause was enforceable. Eventually, county officials issued a formal apology. The $50,000 fine was canceled. The sheriff's actions became the focus of an internal investigation. Residents were furious. Many believed Brooks had targeted Walter simply because he thought the old farmer wouldn't fight back. Public pressure grew. Weeks later, Sheriff Brooks resigned. His career in Willow Creek was over. But Walter wasn't interested in revenge. When reporters asked how he felt, his answer surprised everyone. I don't hate him, Walter said. I just believe people should know the facts before they judge others. The quote appeared in newspapers across the state. And many people admired him even more. Several months later, the county reached a settlement with Walter. The agreement protected the farm permanently and compensated him for legal expenses. But the old farmer did something nobody expected. He used part of the money to establish a community agricultural scholarship for local students. Young people interested in farming could now receive financial assistance for education and training. The same town that had watched Walter humiliated now watched him help future generations. One afternoon, a teenager asked him why he hadn't sold the farm and retired. Walter looked across the fields that had belonged to his family for generations. Then he smiled. Because land isn't just property. The teenager waited. Walter glanced toward the horizon. It's history. It's responsibility. And sometimes, it's the only proof that the truth was there all along. As the sun set over Willow Creek, the old farmer climbed back onto his tractor. The same tractor. The same field. The same land. Only now, everyone knew exactly who owned it. And nobody would ever forget it again.